Hello students, today I am back with a new video, your teacher Sudipto Nath with the subject materials engineering, and today we are going to discuss about the heat treatment process. It is the part 1 of 5th module. So first of all we have to understand that what exactly is the heat treatment process. What is the meaning of the term heat treatment? Now heat treatment, it is actually the controlled heating and cooling of metals to alter their physical and mechanical properties without changing the product shape. Now steels are particularly suitable for heat treatment process. Although other than steel, other materials, that is metallic, non-metallic, etc., they are also undergoes a severe heat treatment process depending on their application and utilization, but as per our syllabus we limit ourselves within the course of the steel material. Now generally heat treatment uses phase transformation during the heating and cooling to change a microstructure in a solid state. Now this is the iron carbon diagram. From iron carbon diagram we have an idea that what is the steel region, what is the cast iron region, and what is the end product from the liquid molten metal, which is basically a combination of carbon and iron, and what exactly we expect on cooling at room temperature. But the problem is, in the iron carbon diagram it is never told that what should be the cooling rate, that how fast or how slow we should cool it down to obtain the desired material. Now by applying the heat treatment process we can reheat them up to a certain temperature to obtain the material of our choice. Various types of heat treatment process which are used to modify the following properties or conditions of the steels are to improve the toughness, hardness, ductility, machinability, and to refine the grain structure, which is one of the most important part of the heat treatment process, and then remove the residual stress and improving the wear resistance properties. In detail we'll discuss afterwards. Now over here, as we are discussing about the types of the heat treatment process, there are many types, but primarily we segmented into 4 different types. One is annealing, the second one is normalizing, the third one is hardening followed by tempering, and the fourth one, that is case hardening. Now for annealing process, which is actually widely used for structural material, structural steel, and basically the steel product which are utilized for making various structures of various plants in railways, in marine application, in heavy industry, the annealing process is widely done. There are 3 different categories of annealing, like full annealing, stress relieving annealing, and spheroidizing. For hardening process and tempering process, we see that conventional hardening and tempering, Oss tempering, and Marr tempering, these are the 3 different categories. Whereas for case hardening process, carburizing, cyaniding, nitriding, carbonitriding, these are one category of application or operation. Then comes flame hardening process, then induction hardening process, EBM or electron beam hardening process, and laser beam hardening process. These are the major important operation. Today we are going to discuss about only an introductory part of the annealing process. Now what is annealing? Annealing is the heat treatment process whereby a metal is heated to a specific temperature, then held at that temperature for a certain period of time, and then allowed to cool slowly. Now if we observe the diagram, this diagram is the first bottom segment of the iron carbon diagram, where we can find out that the temperature is restricted within 910 degrees centigrade to room temperature on the left hand side vertical, and in the bottom horizontal it is clearly indicating the hypoeutectoid and hypereutectoid region of the steel. Now the annealing process is actually done 50 to 60 degree above the A3 line for the hypoeutectoid steel, and it is following the A1 line after the hypereutectoid steel. So over here it is very much clear that annealing is done within the range of austenite or austenite plus cementite for hypo and hypereutectoid steel respectively. Spherodizing, that is also shown in this particular diagram. Spherodizing means making spheroids or spheroid like crystallinity within the structure, and that is done actually below 727 degrees centigrade or lower critical temperature. Of course, UCT and LCT, that is the meaning of upper critical temperature and lower critical temperature for an iron carbon system. Now, as we are discussing about the general effects of annealing, we find that when a metal is cold worked by any of the many industrial shaping operation, changes occur in both its physical and mechanical properties, that we know. Now, while the increased hardness and strength which results from the working treatment may be important in certain application, it is frequently necessary to return the metal to its original condition to allow further forming operation, that is deep drawing etc., to be carried out for applications where optimum physical properties such as electrical conductivity, these other things are essential. The treatment given to the metal to bring about decrease of hardness and an increase of ductility is known as annealing. Now this usually means keeping the deformed metal for a certain time at a temperature higher than about 1/3 of the absolute melting point. It is not a very hard and fast rule although, but it is approximately 1/3 of the absolute melting point. Sometimes it is not 1/3, sometimes it is very close to the half of the melting point, but it is just a law that we consider. Now cold working produces an increase of dislocation density. For the most metals, the density increases from the value of 10 to the power 10 to 10 to the power 12 with respect to the annealed state, whereas it increases somewhat after a few percentage of deformation. And definitely when it is heavily deformed, then the density also increases in a very dramatic and drastic manner. Such an array of dislocations gives rise to a substantial strain energy stored in the lattice, so that the cold work condition thermodynamically unstable relative to the undeformed one. Now we may ask me that why this particular product with cold working, after the cold working where the dislocation effects are more usable or not. I will explain afterwards. Consequently, the deformed metal will try to return to a state of lower free energy state, and that is the answer, and that is more perfect state. So in general, this return to a more equilibrium structure which cannot occur spontaneously but only at elevated temperature where thermally activated process such as diffusion, cross slip and climb takes place. Like all non-equilibrium process, the rate of approach to equilibrium will be governed by Arrhenius equation of the form, that is the rate of approach equal to A into e to the power of minus q by kt, where q is the activation energy which depends on the impurity content, strain, etc. And capital A, that is pre-exponential factor, small k is the universal gas constant, and capital T is the absolute temperature in Kelvin. The formation of atmosphere by strain aging is one method whereby the metal reduces to excess lattice energy, but this process is unique that it usually leads to a further increase in the structure sensitive properties rather than a reduction to the value characteristics of the annealed condition. It is necessary, therefore, to increase the temperature of the deformed metal above the strain aging temperature before it recovers to its original softness and other properties. Now, there are several stages of annealing. The removal of the cold work condition, or in the other words, the annealed process, it may be divided into main three different stages. First one is recovery, second one is recrystallization, and the third one, that is grain growth. From this figure, we get an idea of where exactly is the recovery, recrystallization and the grain growth zones. In the left hand side, that is the vertical line which is indicating the temperature line, and the right hand and the bottom line, that is also the temperature variant. So over here we can see that recovery that happens relatively at lower temperature region, recrystallization at medium temperature, and grain growth in the higher temperature region with respect to time. So when the recovery that occurs, then relatively the recrystallization rate and the grain growth rate falls down, and vice versa. Obviously, with respect to when the grain growth is occurring at higher rate, then the recovery and recrystallization is less. So different types of examples with their original microstructural reproduction that also is given in the bottom of this particular figure. Now the benefits of annealing are listed below, like improved ductility, removal of residual stress that results from cold working or machining or from some other thing else, and then improved machinability, grain refinement. So these are the main benefits of annealing. The types that already we have known, that is full annealing, homogenizing, recrystallization annealing, spheroidizing, stress relieving annealing, isothermal annealing, and there are many more. So these are the very intricate types of annealing which are industrially done. So for full annealing, which we are going to discuss today itself, that is the process by which the distorted cold work lattice structure is changed back to one which is strain free through the application of heat. This process is carried out entirely in the solid state, and it is usually followed by very slow cooling rate in the furnace from the desired temperature. One thing we must understand, that when we are cooling it down, the cooling is not done naturally. The cooling rate is controlled by some suitable furnace. So the rate of change of temperature in the downward direction, which also is called as cooling rate, that is also controlled very specifically. Otherwise, full annealing effect will not be observed. The austenizing temperature is a function of carbon content of the steel, and it can be generalized as, that is for hypoeutectoid steel and eutectoid steel, that is at AC3 plus 20 to 40 degrees centigrade to obtain a single phase austenite, and for hypereutectoid steel, that is AC1 line, above the AC1 line, that is 20 to 40 degrees centigrade, to obtain the austenite and cementite state, as it is shown over here and in one particular diagram that also was given. Now aims of the full annealings are to refine the grain size of the steel casting or of hot worked steels, to improve the mechanical properties, to soften the steel, to relieve internal stress, to improve machinability, and also reduce some defects like alignment, or aligned sulfide inclusions or bands in the steel. These are the very major benefits that we see of full annealing. Now the three important parts of full annealings are proper austenizing temperature reaching. So the soaking time must be very high and very slow cooling through A1 for critical temperature. These are the three major important parts of full annealing. And the second part, that is the formation of austenite, destroy all structure that have existed before the heating. Slow cooling yields the original phase of the ferrite and pearlite in hypoeutectoid steel and that of cementite and pearlite in hypereutectoid steels. So if you are having any question, you can directly contact me and put it down in the answer section, in the comment section. So this is the end of module 5 part 1. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.